What if the most powerful move you can make is to do nothing at all? What if the most devastating strategy isn't some grand action, but a deep and terrifying stillness? We're taught that to win, you have to be the loudest voice in the room. You have to act first, hit hardest, and show your strength through noise and fury. But the true masters of power, from Sun Tzu to Machiavelli, knew a darker and more potent truth. They knew real power lies not in the roar of battle, but in the chilling silence that comes before it. This silence is a gravitational force. It bends the battlefield of the mind, pulling others in, forcing them to reveal themselves against their will. It's in these quiet, calculated moments that your enemies, left alone with their thoughts and the rising tide of their own anxiety, begin to unravel. It's in the vacuum you create that they reveal their weaknesses, agendas, and deepest fears. This isn't just being quiet. This is a weapon. This is psychological warfare, refined to its most potent form. Welcome to the art of fear. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn why silence is not weakness. It's Machiavelli's most dangerous form of strategy. Why the truly powerful don't rush to explain, defend, or justify. They let their silence breed fear. And most importantly, how to use your quiet presence to control perception, command respect, and make others reveal more than they intend. By the end, you won't just understand silence. You'll wield it like a weapon. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Comment below with the phrase, "I speak through silence." Let's begin. In a world that never stops talking, where every stray thought is broadcast for all to see, we've forgotten the first principle of power: control. We think influence is won in debates, and victory is about burying opponents in arguments and sheer volume. We see silence as weakness, an empty space, a sign of having nothing to say. But Niccolo Machiavelli, the Florentine diplomat who stared into the abyss of human nature, would see our modern obsession with noise as a strategic disaster. He knew that if you can't control your own tongue, you'll never control your destiny. Every unnecessary word is a liability, a hook for your enemies to grab, a crack in your armor that can be exploited. In our digital age, this is truer than ever. Every email, every post, every thoughtless comment is a permanent entry in a ledger kept by those who may not have your best interests at heart. True power, he taught, isn't about being the loudest. It's about being the most observant, the most patient, and the most unreadable. A prince, Machiavelli advised, should only take counsel when he wishes, not when others wish, and should discourage unsolicited advice. It's understanding that a leader's calculated quiet can be more terrifying than any threat, creating a void of uncertainty that forces his enemies to show their hand. This is not just a strategy, it is psychological warfare at its most refined. The problem 1, the folly of the loud strategist. Think about any boardroom, political debate, or negotiation you've ever seen. What do you see? People are posturing, interrupting, and scrambling to fill every second with their own voice. They operate under one deeply flawed assumption: whoever talks the most wins. This is the loud strategist. They're everywhere, from the manager who hijacks every meeting with endless monologues to the pundit who just shouts over their opponents, confusing volume with validity. The loud strategist thinks activity equals achievement. They believe that by constantly proposing plans and explaining their rationale, they're showing leadership. What they're actually doing is bleeding power. Every word they speak is a piece of intel given away for free. They reveal their intentions, their anxieties, and their limits. They become predictable. And an opponent who can predict your next move is an opponent who can beat you. Consider the downfall of countless generals in history who telegraphed their intentions. Their opponents didn't win through superior force, but through superior knowledge, gained by listening while the other side boasted. The loud strategist, desperate to be seen as a commander, becomes an open book. Their need for validation, for the sound of their own authority, makes them deeply vulnerable. They speak to quiet their own insecurity, and in doing so, they hand their rivals the map to their downfall. In their hurry to fill the silence, they give their adversaries no room to make a mistake. This constant talking also diminishes their authority. A leader who feels the need to explain every decision erodes the mystique of their power. Their words become cheap, their presence ordinary. They trade the aura of command for the comfort of being heard. Think about truly powerful figures. Are they the ones constantly chattering? Or are they the ones whose words are rare, deliberate, and heavy with impact? Leaders who mastered their presence, from historical figures like the famously taciturn President Calvin Coolidge to modern titans like the late Steve Jobs, understood the power of the pause and the weight of a carefully chosen phrase. Coolidge, known as Silent Cal, once remarked, "I have never been hurt by anything I didn't say." His quiet demeanor wasn't a weakness, it was a shield and a source of strength, making his rare pronouncements all the more significant. The loud strategist plays checkers in a world that demands chess. And as Machiavelli knew, you don't win by making the most moves, you win by seeing the entire board. And you can only see the board when you're still and quiet, watching everyone else make their frantic, noisy mistakes. The counterintuitive solution. Now, let's turn to the master himself. Niccolo Machiavelli, born in 1469 in Florence, was a diplomat who lived through an era of constant political chaos. His city was a hotbed of conspiracy, betrayal, and shifting alliances. His name is now a shorthand for cunning and ruthless ambition, thanks to his book, The Prince. But to dismiss Machiavelli as just a champion of tyranny is to miss the subtle genius of his philosophy. He wasn't a monster. He was a political realist who understood the world isn't governed by how things should be, but by how they are. At the heart of his teachings is a profound understanding of human psychology, especially the psychology of fear. For Machiavelli, fear was a more reliable tool for control than love. Love, he argued, is fickle and depends on the goodwill of others, a bond easily broken when it suits their interests. Fear, however, is wired into our instinct for self-preservation, a much more dependable motivator, maintained by a dread of punishment that never fails. But this isn't the fear of a brutal, irrational tyrant. That kind of fear breeds hatred, and hatred is the seed of rebellion. The fear Machiavelli championed is more strategic and more terrifying. The fear of the unknown. It's the fear that blossoms in the soil of uncertainty. And the most powerful tool for creating this uncertainty is silence. Strategic silence isn't passive. It's a deliberate, offensive move. It's the creation of a psychological vacuum. People are deeply uncomfortable with voids and a lack of information. When faced with a leader who is calm, unreadable, and silent, they instinctively rush to fill that void. They start talking. They reveal their plans. They betray their anxieties. They expose their weaknesses, all in a desperate attempt to get a reaction, to figure out what the silent leader is thinking. And while they're busy revealing everything, the silent leader is simply observing, gathering intelligence, and waiting for the perfect moment to act. This is the art of fear. It's not about shouting threats. It's about creating an atmosphere of deep-seated unease and letting your opponent's imagination become your greatest weapon. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know if your silence means agreement, disapproval, or a devastating attack that's brewing just beneath the surface. This ambiguity paralyzes them. They become so obsessed with trying to figure you out that their own strategy falls apart. They become reactive, while you remain in absolute control. This echoes the wisdom of Sun Tzu, who wrote, "Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate, By speaking less, you become formless, unreadable. You reveal less and learn more, building an asymmetry of knowledge that is the very foundation of dominance. The principles of silent warfare. Mastering this art is more than just keeping your mouth shut. It requires discipline and a deep understanding of human nature. It's warfare waged in the minds of your rivals. Let's break down the core principles. Principle 1. The vacuum of uncertainty. First, you deliberately create a vacuum. As we've said, human psychology hates a void. When you withhold your reaction or opinion, you create a space of intense psychological discomfort for the person across from you. In a negotiation, this is devastating. Imagine you're hashing out a contract. The other side makes an offer. A novice immediately counters, argues, or accepts. The strategist does something far more powerful. They say nothing. They hold eye contact, their expression neutral, their posture calm. The seconds stretch into an eternity. The silence, which is your weapon, becomes an unbearable weight for them. Their mind starts to race. Was the offer too low? Did I offend them? Have I misread the situation entirely? In this self-induced panic, they often start negotiating against themselves. Research from MIT Sloan shows that pauses of just 3 seconds or more shift negotiators into a more deliberative mindset, often leading them to make concessions without being asked. They'll blurt out, of course, that's just a starting point, or we could probably be flexible on the terms. They give up ground without you saying a single word. This vacuum also exposes hidden motives. Manipulators get particularly agitated by unreadable stillness because they rely on reactions to gauge their influence. When you give them nothing, you deny them the feedback they crave. They get flustered and often talk even more, trying different angles to provoke a response. And in their desperation, they reveal the very game they're trying to play. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting their own schemes back at them, forcing them to confront their own intentions in the disquieting void you have created. Principle 2. The economy of speech and the projection of strength. Power is perception. Everyone sees what you appear to be, Machiavelli wrote. Few experience what you really are. Your words are the primary tool people use to perceive you. The more you talk, the more ordinary you become. Compulsive talking signals nervousness and a need for approval. The exact opposite of power. Strategic silence, on the other hand, projects confidence, self-control, and mystery. Treat your words like currency. Every word you utter should be an investment with a purpose to inform, command, mislead, or inspire. If a word serves no strategic purpose, it's a waste. A leader who speaks rarely finds that, when they do, their words carry immense weight. Their rarity makes them valuable. People lean in. They listen, because they know this leader doesn't waste their breath. President Calvin Coolidge was a master of this, famous for his brevity. When asked by a colleague how he managed to leave the office at 5 p.m. every day while the colleague worked until 9, Coolidge simply replied, "You talk back." This cultivates an aura of unpredictability. A predictable leader can be managed and neutralized. But a leader who is measured, whose reactions are controlled, who might respond to a grave insult with just a calm stare, that leader is an enigma. This keeps everyone, allies and enemies alike, on their toes. It forces them to think twice before acting because they can never be sure how you'll respond. Julius Caesar was famous for keeping his plans secret, even from his closest commanders. This secrecy was a weapon. It kept his enemies perpetually off balance and unable to form effective counter-strategies, as they had no reliable intelligence on his intentions. His silence on strategy wasn't indecision. It was a carefully wielded instrument of dominance that kept him one step ahead. Principle 3. The calibration of fear, respect, and hatred. This is the most misunderstood part of Machiavelli's philosophy. When he said it is much safer to be feared than loved, he wasn't advocating for cruelty. He was making a cold, pragmatic calculation. Love is based on feelings which are unreliable and can break easily. Fear, when calibrated correctly, is based on the dread of consequences, which is far more predictable and enduring. But here's the critical warning Machiavelli gave that most people miss. A prince must, above all else, avoid being hated. Hatred inspires a desire for revenge that will always, eventually, lead to your downfall. A hated leader gives their subjects a unifying cause: their destruction. Strategic silence is the master tool for balancing fear and respect while keeping hatred at bay. The fear you want to inspire isn't the fear of a madman's rage, but the fear of a chess master's intellect. It's the fear that you see things they don't. Your silence contributes directly to this. Because they can't read your intentions, they are forced to respect your mind. Silence also keeps you from crossing the line into hated cruelty. Loud threats and public tirades are the acts of a weak leader losing control. They generate hatred because they feel personal and emotional. A leader who punishes out of emotion is seen as a tyrant. But a leader who enforces consequences with calm, quiet resolve is seen as strong. When a subordinate fails, the loud strategist might berate them. The Machiavellian leader might say nothing at all, letting the subordinates sit with their failure in a deafening silence that is far more impactful than any shouting match. The consequence, when it comes, is delivered not with anger, but with cold, impersonal necessity. The action is seen as a result of the failure, not the leader's ego. This is how you enforce discipline without inspiring personal hatred, by making the consequence feel like an unchangeable law of nature rather than a personal vendetta. The ultimate power, the conductor of human nature. When you master these principles, you stop being just another player in the game of power. You become the conductor. You're no longer reacting to the noise. You are orchestrating it. You aren't playing your hand. You are playing the other players. By mastering silence, you create an information asymmetry nearly unbreakable. You know everything about your rivals while they know nothing about you. While they're exhausted from talking and posturing, you are calm, rested, and observing. This mastery leads to a profound shift in your own psychology. A need for validation no longer drives you. Your confidence becomes internal, rooted in self-control and a superior understanding of the game. This is the essence of what Machiavelli called virtue, not moral virtue, but the skill, ingenuity, and prowess a leader needs to impose their will on fortune. For Machiavelli, history is a duel between virtù and fortuna, fortune, the unpredictable chaos of fate. He argued that while fortuna may control half of our actions, the other half is left to our own governance. Your silence, your discipline, patience, and strategy is the ultimate expression of virtù. It is the dam you build against the raging river of fortuna, allowing you to channel events and act with precision instead of impulse. The ultimate power born from this art is the power to shape reality through perception. You become so unreadable that others begin to project their own ideas of power onto you. Your mystique grows. They will call you cold, calculating, even ruthless. Let them. As Machiavelli knew, a leader's goal isn't to be liked. It's to be effective. When you walk into a room, your presence alone commands a level of attention the loud strategist can only dream of. They will watch you, trying to solve the puzzle of your thoughts, and you will give them nothing. In their minds, you are not just a leader, you are a force to be reckoned with. We live in an age of noise that celebrates frantic self-expression over thoughtful restraint. We've been told that power is loud, that influence belongs to those who shout the most. We've been taught wrong. The timeless wisdom of Machiavelli whispers a different truth across the centuries. True strength speaks loudest in silence. The greatest weapon in your arsenal is not your voice, but your ability to control it. This is the quiet strategy of leaders like General George C. Marshall. a man Winston Churchill called the organizer of victory, known for his reserved demeanor and profound impact. His strength was not in volume, but in his integrity and quiet resolve. By mastering strategic silence, you reclaim control. You turn your opponent's need for certainty into their greatest weakness. You transform your presence from that of a common player into an unreadable master of the game. This path requires immense discipline and a willingness to be misunderstood. They may call you cold or intimidating, but they will also call you effective. They will respect you, and they will fear you, not because of your threats, but because of the terrifying uncertainty your silent, watchful presence creates. True power isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about becoming so unreadable that your silence becomes the most feared strategy of all. If you're ready to embrace the timeless strategies of power, subscribe to this channel. We delve into the philosophy of minds like Machiavelli and Sun Tzu, the psychology of influence, and the art of mental toughness every week. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. And now, comment below. When have you seen silence speak louder than words? Share your story.